You're listening to Court Reserve Unscripted with me, Ashley Owens.
Hey, Ash. Can you hear me? Can you hear me and see me okay?
I can hear and see you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I love your background.
Oh, thanks. It's our studio, we get to try to make it all fancy and appealing.
That's the hardest part, right? Is how do
It
you make
is.
it to where somebody's like, "Ooh, I gotta hear more about that," or see
Right,
more
right.
about
I'm
that.
not going to hang up or turn it off or move on.
Well,
Hi.
it's so good to get to talk to you today and to learn. Some of our folks at Court Reserve, it sounds like, and have a great relationship. So, how did you get to know Jenny?
Actually through Meg, her sister. So
Really?
we
Okay.
played against each other and just kind of were in the same social circle. And then they were at US Open last year, and I got to meet her whole family and Jenny's daughter and mom. And yeah, they're an amazing family, are they not?
Yes, they are for sure. Are you going to play at the US Open this year?
So I had some medical things came up recently, and so I was in the hospital with a blood clot and had all this. And I have MS, multiple sclerosis, so which is part of my journey and what I talk about a lot of the times on the podcast. But I didn't think it was going to be fair to my partners to go and try to play because I didn't know where I'd be at that. Would I be healthy enough to play? So unfortunately, it's the first time in 4 years that I haven't gone. So
All right,
I have
what is it
major
like?
FOMO.
Oh, I bet. Well, hey, you could still come and hang out with us,
I
right?
know. I actually thought about it. I was like, maybe I'll just fly out there and just go and cheer everybody on, which is what I love to do. But yeah,
So tell
too
me
bigger.
from a player standpoint,
Hmm.
what is it like to prepare yourself to go and play in something like the US Open?
Yeah, it takes more work, I think, than what if you want to do well, right? You need to get that practice time in with your partners and set up games where you can get some good competition and put yourself in that high stress situation. Because do you play also? I
Well,
assume.
I play tennis. We own a
Okay.
pickleball club. It's been a while since I played pickleball. I'm more in the tennis group
Tennis
right
is
now.
the
Yes.
same though, right? So if you go into those especially those big tournaments that are important, you put in a lot of time and money to get there, and if you don't do well, you play two and you're done. So I find that I need to put myself in some high stress situations so I can, with my partner, we know how to kind of work through that. So when we're in the moment,
I
we
love
can,
that.
you
Well,
know,
and it's really hard if you play in the same circle of friends all the time or in the same clubs in
yeah,
your area. It's really hard to play against even different levels of the same level, right?
yes.
Because in tennis, if you're a 3-5 to a 4-0, that could be a huge difference. And
Huge.
same in pickleball for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just that, but if you're playing against the same people, you know their patterns. And then if you go and you play against people you've never seen before, you have to be able to adjust to that. So, even just going, we would just go to drop ins and pick up just so we could, even if the competition wasn't as strong, we could at least be seeing different shots and different people and being able to adjust to that. So I think that's really important as well.
Well, and I think that in pickleball, especially, the numbers go by so quickly, right? So,
No,
so if
it's a
you
game
get
of
to
runs.
like, you're down like 8-1 or 8-2, I mean, you only got a couple more
I
points.
know. So we played, I, with my daughter and I played last year. And we played at the 5-0 level, but at her age group. First of all, I had no business playing 5-0. But I also had no business playing 5-0 against, 15 all the way up to 29-year-olds, right? I'm like, I want to play against the old people. But it was tough. It was tough. Those games, like you said, they just run away from you so quickly. And then you're like, well, that was one and done. That was quick.
Yeah.
And
I
it
had
was
a
painful.
I had a female partner one time. This is years ago. We were in North Carolina. We were playing a
Hmm.
doubles. It was a like a USTA tournament weekend. Um,
Hmm.
and it was just the ladies division. I don't even remember what it was. It might have been 3-5 or 3-0 or 4. I don't even remember. But when we walked on the court, it was against what I would have considered at that point elderly women, right?
Right.
And in your mind, you're like, oh, this is easy, right? Because I'm going to hit
Yeah.
them with my power and speed. And let me tell you something, friend. When we got off that court, losing like 1-0, they had played tennis for like 60 years of their life. And literally, they
Yeah.
were late 60s, early 70s. And they just knew how to place the ball. They knew where to put it. They didn't play with speed or power. They played their game and they rocked us little young chicks right off the court.
It happens all the time. I always say, the first time I started playing pickleball, you walk out there and I'm playing against Ethel and she's kicking my ass, right? It's kind of like, darn you, Ethel. It's painful.
Well, and then your kids, right? That's why I really, when we first moved to Florida 5 years ago, we were really into pickleball, right? Because
Mhm.
it was just this time in pickleball, the momentum. We moved here. It was easy to find friends. It was easy to go to the park and play. And our kids got better and better so much quicker than I did. And then I can't keep up with the level of play. And then well, they either feel bad or guilty. Oh, mom's over here, bringing me down on this.
Yeah, yeah, yes. And that's what happened with Jordan, right? Like Jordan, I was playing for probably just about a year before my daughter started playing. And once she started actually putting any amount of effort into it, she realized, okay, you know what, I could be pretty good at this, right? And so she started putting some effort, and then she just surpassed me.
Yeah.
And now, before I was like, okay, should I bring her out to this one? There's some tough competition, I don't know, we're playing, 4-5 or 5-0 and now she's like, oh, should I take my mom out here? She might get her butt kicked. And I'm like, darn you little snot.
You know what? But it's such an incredible thing because now we can at least go out and play socially
uh,
together as a family, even. And as
mm-hmm.
long as that competitive nature of all of us stay internal and don't
Yes.
come out on the court, it can be such a great couple of hours
Yeah,
and
for sure.
memories to hang out. So
Oh
I know you
boy.
have a podcast with your daughter.
Uh-huh.
And talk to me about we have 3 kids and they all work alongside of
Hmm.
us in our businesses. So talk to me about what your experience has been with your kids and working alongside them.
Yeah, so I have 4 kids, and my daughter, who's the third of my 4, um, I'll kind of give you the history. So the podcast is called Mom, You're Embarrassing Me. So the name of it right there just shows like where we were kind of thinking when we started the podcast. And so we decided to do, and it wasn't really going to be focused on pickleball, although that was something we were both very interested in and we were both involved in. And that was one thing that we would do together. It was supposed to be more about, and it still is about life and struggles and things that my kid's dad passed away. Like I said, I have multiple sclerosis. I had cancer. I had, just got over the whole blood clot thing. So I had all of this health stuff. We were going through after her dad passed, and we just needed some sort of outlet. And we realized so many other people are going through the same things that we do, the same struggles. And so we felt like this was a great platform for us to be able to talk about some of the things that we've gone to, how we are working through that. It's always a work in progress. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing for her and I to just have this thing that we just have to get. It's with 4 kids, you want to have something special with each of them, right? And this is kind of Jordan and our special thing that we have that kind of bonds us. But it ended up, a lot of it has kind of gone to the pickleball um, part of it. Like if you think about it, pickleball brings so many people together for various reasons, and it's just you can leave life outside of the court, and when you're on the court, you're just focused on that yellow ball, and Everything else will be there when you get off the court, but that is your 1 to 2 hours where you can just kind of focus on yourself and focus on being happy and just being with those other three people on the court with you. Um, and the community, as I'm sure you know, is just amazing and supportive, and they really helped us get through a lot of that. So as we were doing the podcast and pickleball kept kind of coming up, and then we had an opportunity to interview Rob Nunnery, who has his own health challenges. If you know him, pro player, he's been struggling big time and is very open about it, which I just find so inspiring. And then we had John Sperling on, who also was going through some things, and they both opened up to us about it, and were very honest and open and vulnerable with us about their health journey that they've had, and it just lit a fire under us. So since then, we've had James Ignatowicz, we've had Dane Gingrich and Jill Martin. We've had, I know I'm going to forget people, and I always feel bad when I do, but yeah, just so many inspiring people that have come on and shared their journey. Evan Slaughter just came on. He's Fit to Serve.
Mhm.
He's the comedian, pickleball comedian. You may know him. He goes out there and he does the whole singles mom thing, and he's on the pickleball court, and he is hilarious. And he was a veteran and went through some of his life stories is just so inspiring about where he's at now. So it has been a joy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
One time I saw a sign actually in a therapy office that said, "Be kind. Everybody is fighting a battle." And I think as when you grow up, you may or may not know that exists. That everybody really struggles with something, whether it's mental or physical or their life. And so I think it's great when people can open up, because I'll be your biggest cheerleader, right? You're a pro player, but you're still human to me, right? When I
Yes.
truly know who you are as a person and that I can relate to you in a way. So I think that just makes that just grows their fan base when they're open about what they're going through.
Absolutely. That is the whole reason I have been so vocal and so open about the things that I've gone through and my struggles is not always, it is to share and to let other people know, hey, you're not alone, and we can, but it's also selfishly, sometimes I need to know that I've got people in my corner. And when I'm open about it, when I talk about it, then when people see me, whether even if it just gives me a hug or just throws me a text, I need I need that. And so to your point, yeah, when people are vulnerable, it's amazing what they get back. They're giving so much, but they're also going to get so much back from that. So
Yeah, I think that it's really been tough on the generation of my children to grow up in such a social media world with everything so perfect and your life is fantasy and it's a it's always sunny, right?
right,
Not true. That's not
right,
true. That is not real life.
not reality.
Well, kudos to you, Mom, for bringing your daughter along on such a great journey.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very, very much. I mean, I feel like she's taken me along on her journey. I mean, she's got so much personality, and she's so fun, and she's so funny. So sometimes I feel like I'm riding her coattails. So,
What's next for you guys? Pickleball
yeah.
podcasts.
So
What's next?
we're going to continue with the podcast, and we have ideas about uh, both about people who we want to have on the show, but also just like how can we expand this and get that out there more. And I do know another thing, we really do want to not just because a lot of the interviews, I don't know if you know of USLPL, it's the US Legends Pickleball League. It's a pro league for 35 plus. We also have one for the 50 plus and one for 60 plus. And I'm the lead correspondent for that, and the roving reporter and the commentator, all of that. And so I have had a lot of interviews and a lot of opportunities that she has a full-time job. And so I've been doing a lot with the podcast as for the USLPL side as well. So we want to get back to some of the kind of, again, the life stories, our life stories. And so we don't want it to be 100% pickleball, although we both love that part of it. We do want to have a kind of I don't know, if a podcast within a podcast that can kind of touch on some other things.
I
outside of
love
the
that.
pickleball stuff. So that's what she and I have kind of planned for the upcoming months.
So is the podcast led her into like her full-time job right now?
No, actually, she's in marketing, and so she was doing that prior to the podcast, but it was kind of natural. This she has so much that she can contribute on. How can we get our name and our brand out there, and how do we build this brand, and and our logo, and we've got some new hats, a new line of hats that are going to be coming out, and so that kind of stuff she's been great with. And I think it's we've been able to kind of utilize her skills in the marketing to help us also with the podcast.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
So how many different clubs or facilities do you guys play at in your area?
Oh my gosh. More than I can. We well, you probably know how many clubs are in the DC area because we all use Court Reserve. So thankfully, because it does simplify things, I have to say, Ashley, thank you very much. Because before, I think it was just like you would sign up for one thing from one app and then you're on another one. And oh my gosh, this just made life easier. Um, 10 probably that are in our area that are within where I would actually go to. Not like on a regular basis, but within I would say within a few months period, I've easily go to 10 different
Wow.
facilities. Yeah. And then I just drove to see my son in New Hampshire, and I made stops along the way at all of these different clubs, and got to see some really cool facilities. It's always a joy to just see what's different between club to club. And again, you probably see this a lot too. Like you look at the Pickler, but then you look at Dill Dinkers, which are two of the kind of the chains in our area, at least the ones that I know. And you can look at both of them and see how differently they're, how they run things. But at the same time, when you really come down to it, the social aspect of it, when you walk into these courts, it's the same joy, the same, you still see people out there on the court just having a good time. And that's what pickleball is all about.
So that's a great point. As a player who travels and
Mm-hmm.
enjoys going to these, different facilities and clubs, what are the things maybe aesthetically, not even the social or the fun, but what are some of those things that you look at and make you remember that place over another?
Yeah. The well, I'm looking at walk because I'm getting older, right? So I want to be able to see the ball. So I look at, okay, what are the walls dark color so then it doesn't get lost in the paint color. The lighting, of course, is huge. Without you don't want to have any glare. But some of the facilities that I think are just super that I like, just whether it's the most ideal place to play as far as like the flooring or the wall color or the ceiling height, but is just when something has something special about it. Like one that jumped out at me is the factory Dill Dinkers in Hatboro, because it's got like 80 foot high ceilings. And so the whole place is just open, and it's just such a cool, when you first walk in, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then you go down the street, Pickle House. They have like a full on, beverage wall, which I love because there's beers on tap and wine and drinks, and they have a full kitchen. So I think those amenities are also really fun because when the places that we like to play locally uh, are the ones that have, when we're done playing, that we can still stay and just have a beer with friends and hang out for a little bit longer before we get back to work or life or things.
And
So I think
continue.
I love that. Yeah.
Well, and you were talking earlier about when you're on the court, it's so nice to just be able to break away from the day to day and your problems at home or the work or the whatever. And so the clubs that have that player area that is inviting and warm and wants you to hang
Yes.
out and stay, not only is it good for the club because they can drive additional revenue and they can create that culture and that community, but then it does so much for the player.
You're
Um,
right.
there's a
Right.
club in Colorado Springs that we went to a couple years ago just absolutely the turf on the ground. They had these hanging chair swings, they had picnic tables, they had almost like outdoor lighting and a
Mhm.
pergola inside in the player area. And it was just,
Wow.
I would just go in there and sit and read a book and watch people
Yeah.
play, you know? I mean, it was
Right.
just such a great visual and so here like in St. Augustine we have a club and we do really try and think about like what's that experience going to be like because we have a
Mm.
lot of tourists here and we
Yeah.
want them to remember it as such
Oh,
a
right.
pleasant beautiful place. So if you're traveling, then not aesthetically but like what would make you go back to a club over trying a new one? Is it this play? Is it the environment? Is it the accessibility to the highway? Like, what would bring
Right.
you back?
Yeah. Well, for me, because I get to know the owners or the general managers of the facilities that I visit, because I'm interviewing them typically for the podcast, or for USLPL. Um, I if I create that, I have that bond with, and I'm keeping in touch with the owner, then that makes me want to go back and visit them again, right? Because then I can say, oh, I get to go and see, Tom again or whoever it is, right? Um, and so I think that's important. So relationships, right? If I go there and I'm just uh, you let's say it's very clicky or people are not inviting and they're not when you're getting on the court with them, it's just I'm sure you've been to places where it just doesn't feel as welcoming. I probably wouldn't want to go back and visit it regardless of how beautiful or exciting or how great the flooring is. I think you look for those because I tend to I'm on social media a lot, and so I keep in touch with people. And so when I meet somebody at open play at some facility, I tend to, at least I'm following them. And then when I'm there, I can be like, oh, hey, guess what? I'm coming back. And if I don't have any of those relationships, then I'm less inclined to want to go back. So,
What's the state that you love visiting the most?
oh gosh, the state. Well, probably California. I've got a family there, and there's several outdoor facilities in that area, and I have the best time. Morro Bay, California is one place, and then there's just up and down that area between Santa Barbara, up a little further north of San Luis Obispo County. Um, I love it there. It's so fun, and everyone. Even I mean, there are times where I haven't been there for like 2 years, and I'll come back, and people will remember me, and that's kind of unusual and
It's
really neat.
special. Yeah.
Very special. Yeah.
I think in the pickleball community too, especially, it's amazing to know who you know. I know we've gone to a couple of tournaments and, played against people and they'll come from an area and maybe they've played at a club that, use court reserve or not. But then we have players who travel to other states and they've met a player who played at Old Coast. And I mean, it is a small community, but it's also a large community because now it's going international and all over the
Yeah.
world. And any
Right.
plans to go international and take the podcast on the road?
You know, plans, yes, but anything like anything on the calendar yet? No. So if you have recommendations about like where you would say, I know right now, you can go, there's a lot of pickleball booming in certain areas that I feel like that's where I need to go. But I don't know. I don't know. Costa Rica, I want to go just because I know a lot of people that have like these really cool facilities and houses with all of because they teach there. And so I'm like, I should just go there and visit them and, check out their pickleball courts out there. But I don't know. I would go anywhere. I don't know. What about you? Have you been anywhere internationally? And
We've been to international some. I haven't played pickleball internationally,
I,
of course. I'd like to get to all the four major tennis events. I'm
mm,
marking those off my bucket list.
nice.
But I think that working and trying to, work a 9 to 5 and then still try and get your fun in and, going international is a little tough.
Right. Right. Did I see somewhere you guys do work with Padel too,
We
correct?
do. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to go to Europe and I play a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to go and start playing some Padel because that's where it's like happening.
It's so fun. I'm
Yes,
undefeated
isn't it so?
still. I'm
Are
I'm
you?
I'm 1-0. I'm undefeated.
And that's always going to stay.
It
Oh
really
gosh.
it
Oh,
combines my
fun.
love for both sports.
Mm,
It's fast paced, which I love, and I do think that it is. I don't know. I really enjoyed the first time I played it, and I haven't really had the opportunity to play. I mean, just in our area, we don't have any padel courts.
mm,
We've considered, having some here in St. Augustine, but with the cost of, building the courts and, having that community of people that can come play. I mean, that's
right.
another issue. Then having somebody that's, certified instructor specifically for padel, like those are all the things, so I think that in the bigger cities, definitely the opportunities are more, to go and play.
Right.
But traveling around, I'd love to be able to play a little bit more. I do think it's great to be able to play any of the sports, honestly. Like I
Yeah.
think if you can play one, you can really pick up all of them. Even tennis. People are like, oh, tennis is the hardest. I mean, you can still play red ball tennis as an adult. You can still get out there and hit around and have fun. And
Yeah. Now I can do red ball tennis, but I'm a terrible. I never played tennis, and I think every time I would try it, the ball would just go flying over the fence, and I have to go chase it. And I'm like, this game sucks. But so pickleball was much easier for me to learn and pick up. But that helped me learn how to play padel, and I could kind of go in it. You know, entry was a little bit higher when I first walked in. Not saying I'm great, but um, tennis still, I feel like I haven't even tried. A friend of mine, she taught tennis for decades, and now she's a pickleball instructor. She's like, I could get you playing in like 5 minutes. Just give me an hour with you. I'm like, but do I really want to? That'd be one more thing I would start getting obsessed with. And I'll stick with pickleball
just for now. You can
for
come to
now.
Florida. The greatest thing about tennis, I think, people try and start playing tennis matches or rallying back and forth. And I think a great entry level for adults into tennis is to go to a tennis class and work with an instructor and a lot of students where it's almost like a live feeding ball, right? Because then
Mhm.
you're out there, you're moving, you're having fun. And then it's not so frustrating from having to chase your three balls outside of the fence for the
Right.
last 45 minutes.
Right.
So I do think adults and the USTA has done a great job of putting together that red ball tennis. And I
Yeah.
think that they do a great job. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I helped I was one of the pickleball pros for Village Pickle, which is in Leesburg, Virginia. And so I helped get that whole place to started until I started the podcast, and then I stepped away from it. But they're owned by USTA.
oh
Um,
yes.
yeah. So I think we're the only one too, at least now, but they were like, okay, let's try this out and see how it works. The tennis players a little bit reluctant, like, what do you mean you're going to open a pickleball facility? And I thought we're trying to not let pickleball, take over. Um,
Well, that's why, I think it's great when people come to us at Court Reserve and they're like, oh, the data actually saved our tennis courts, right? The data
Mhm.
actually allowed us to build pickleball courts instead of transversing tennis into pickleball, right? Because then
Mhm.
you still have the pickleball or the tennis community that can still enjoy it, just like the pickleball can enjoy their own.
Exactly.
And it is not as fun to play pickleball on a tennis court because it is a lot of running.
Right. That's right. That's so true. That's
So,
so true.
just a couple last questions.
Sure.
What do you think 10 years from now, what's it going to be like to play pickleball in the United States?
Um, I hope it will continue to grow where you're going to see more facilities outdoors, more. I think what's happening right now, and we have to kind of be careful or mindful of this, is that there are a lot of pickleball facilities that are opening, and if we don't have the enough players, then all of those facilities kind of are going to suffer, right? So we need to keep on building the sport. And so my hope would be in 10 years that we would, and I think it's helping that we're introducing it into the schools, because those are all future pickleball players that it's, let's say this, I don't know that the right and you would actually be a great person to ask this. I don't know if the whole, if we build it, they will come. If we're not careful and we're just throwing up pickleball courts left and right, then we've found out in our area, there's so many that it's now everything's kind of getting watered down. Because there used to be only, 3 places to play at. So you had like high level competition all the time. Now we have 10. So people are going to whatever is local to them, which means going into a facility and like a drop and play and knowing you're going to have good competition. That's not the case anymore because you might have, 2 people that are in, 2 years ago, we probably had 30 people that were like at that same level. So I hope we do it wisely and that when people are opening up facilities, that they are also doing the work to find people within the community and help it grow from the ground level up, going into the schools, for example, or going into senior centers and getting people and pulling people into the sport because we just, the more the better, which is great. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Like as far as getting more and more facilities, do you think that I see some that are closing down now, I guess is my point.
Oh
Because
yeah.
and there was too many in a certain area. So
Yeah, I think what we've seen is that, pickleball is such a fun sport. And then you have folks who decide that they maybe have some money to invest in a pickleball club and they find a building and they set up a pickleball club, but they don't know how to operationally put together the pickleball business plan and then make that into the best programming, the best culture, the best community. You got to think about all of the, how much are you paying for your lease or how much do you pay for the building? And, how are you going to continue if you have, churn, right? If your members churn and because the club down the street opens up. And I think there's a lot more going into that. And with the competition in the area, how do you outmarket
yes.
your neighbor, right? How do you continue to stay on top of your players? So I think that there is a lot of people that probably don't spend enough time putting together the right plan. And then when they open, they spend a lot of money to get the courts done and the lights done and the opening. And then they probably don't do a great job of hiring the right people to operationally run the business. And then, we have seen some people come and go, right? Even, using court reserve software. And it's really more about all those things. If you have 5 different competitors within a 15-minute drive, how do you stay the best club?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
how do
And
you,
that's
yeah, it's
exactly
really
right.
hard. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I do think that, there, there's a lot of talk around exactly what you're mentioning. How do we make sure that in 10 years, we still have a very vibrant pickleball business to run,
Mm,
and keep the players, because if the player experience goes down and is watered across the board, the players won't continue to play. They'll go find
that's right.
another
The
sport,
sports
another
suffer.
hobby, you know, and I think there's several different thought processes. Some people think it's the food entertainment venue that's going to do it. Some people are against food. Some people want the tap walls. Some people want the golf sim. Some people want the
Yeah.
paddle and pickleball. So I think that it'll be an interesting time in the next couple of years, and we'll see who basically can stay the course.
Yeah. And you've got all of that. I mean, you're the one who probably knows the first, how things are going because you're seeing it,
Yeah. I
which
mean, it's not a dying
clubs are.
sport I mean, we're still getting brand new pickleball clubs that come to Court Reserve every single month.
Yeah, I believe it.
So they're still opening, they're still franchising, they're still coming up with, new programming. I just think you just have to stay on top of it. You just cannot be complacent and you cannot not have progressive programming and introducing pickleball to new people and in the schools, like you said, and college and things like that. So I think it's just timing and making sure we're making good decisions. That's what life's about, making
Yeah.
decisions,
Yeah.
anyways. So,
Right.
well, it was great to meet you,
You
Michelle.
too. You too. We would love to have you on Mommy You're Embarrassing Me podcast.
Let's do it.
So let's get that on the books and then Jordan and I can grill you on a few things.
That's awesome.
It's
Good to
been a
see you.
pleasure, Ashley.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
too.
so much.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you'd like to learn more about how Court Reserve became the go-to club management software for racket and paddle sport clubs, come say hello over on our website. There's a link in the show notes.